Houston, as you know, we are a show that is antagonistic to the car industry. This is a
very
fact.
antagonistic. We're a
This is
thorn in
fact.
their side.
We are a thorn in the side. When Elon Musk goes to sleep at night, he prays to Satan, and he says, "Satan, oh, dearest Satan," because obviously he hates Christ. That's
Right. Yeah.
he hates Christ. Right? We're good Christian boys, but he hates Christ. That's why he owns the car. But when he goes to sleep, he prays not to have to deal with a thorn in his side that is quibbles over coffee. Houston.
Exactly.
Houston. The question of the day is, first, how do you protest the cars? And second, what is Florida and Oklahoma and many other places that are controlled by the Republicans, okay, by the antithesis of love and harmony, which is to say conservatives, right? Which are not actual conservatives. They are just evil, right?
Right.
What do we do to protest the cars? All right. With that, let us begin the discussion. The first answer, this is from Strong Towns. Everyone, we're going to be linking Strong Towns below. Strong Towns is the superior website for where you should be getting all, other than quibbles over coffee, all of your news to do with urban planning. Number one, pumpkin protected bike lanes. We supremely approve of the pumpkin protected bike lanes. This is particularly
really
around,
cute.
right? Isn't that adorable? Particularly around Halloween, but honestly, whenever it is. It's April currently.
Yeah.
By the time you're seeing this, it might no longer be April. I don't know what happens after April. Honestly, I never got good at that, forgetting. January, February, March, April, May. Even if it's May, by the time you're getting to this, okay, it'll still be jack-o'-lantern season, because it's always jack-o'-lantern. Number two, in Bolivia, they have traffic zebras. Why don't we have traffic zebras?
That's so cute.
I want a traffic zebra. So they have, they have people who just walk around crossing the street with people, hugging adorable little children, right? And just like being a zebra. That's fucking awesome. I want a crosswalk zebra. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
right?
I'd do that. I could take that job.
I would love that job.
Yeah.
This one is admittedly illegal, but also morally correct. Hack the traffic signs. I should clarify for legal reasons. Don't. Okay? I will make myself big when I say that. Don't. Okay. Moving forward, right? Get weird. This shit, okay, is awesome, right? This is them, like, putting up, see this thing? Like, this thing is them, they're able to make this thing go up. So like, the crosswalk just goes, and then it can stop the cars, and they can't crash into you because there's a thing there, right? Ridiculous and awesome. This one is my favorite. This giant road shouldn't exist as it does, right? There's no reason for the road to be like that. The road should force you to slow down by making you turn into this three-way crossing, right? That is the ideal way. So what they did is they just said, fuck it. That's the way it is. By getting some chalk, getting some leaves together, and just making the road smaller than the road used to be. That's fucking badass, okay? If you have too much time on your hands and or children, this is the ideal thing to do with your free time during the fall, okay? Yeah. Is it fall currently? No. Can you pluck leaves off of trees, potentially killing the trees in order to save your children by doing this? Yeah. I think your children are more important than the trees. Therefore, murder the trees. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Trees will grow back. They'll grow back.
Trees will grow back, or they won't. But you know what won't grow back? Your children. If your children die in a car crash, they're dead forever. Therefore, it is the moral obligation of every parent to do precisely this. This is a moral obligation. You must do this. Okay. That's number 5. They really only have 5? That's too bad. But yeah, you should do these. These are great. Okay. Now, This is a whole article about the crossing of the leaves here. I really do like the leaf experiment. I think it's a great idea.
Really cool.
Isn't that adorable? But like,
Yeah.
I think it proves a point though. The point is that like it shows that number one, people slow down when you have roads that are of like the correct size. That's a really important thing. Number two, that because they're slowing down, it increases safety. Number three, it proves that you don't need this space. So that could be more lawn space. That could be public park. That could be sidewalk. That could be whatever it might be. In this case, it probably would be private property. That's fine. Doesn't matter. Whatever it is better used as private property than it's just wasted concrete, right? And it really proves that point, and it also increases safety. So I think this is a really good example of just like doing these kinds of things just to prove a point to the local government, and also because I think that it does increase safety in the short term. Now, okay, with that all out of the way, we do have to get to some stuff that is problematic. Republicans, as you know, hate children.
Yeah.
They also hate black people, and they also hate protesters. Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Because of this, I'm sorry. They also hate pedestrians and anyone who lives in a city.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because of this, they have made a law in Florida, and they're trying to make this law elsewhere, that essentially legalizes running over protesters with a car. If the protester is blocking traffic, you can run them over. Now, keep in mind, this is literally how someone died in Charlottesville. Let's just take a moment and look up Charlottesville, right? Charlottesville, for a context, death. For context, this is the Charlottesville car attack, right? This is a bunch of literal neo-Nazis. This is a photo of it from Wikipedia, right? This is the attack. This car drove into a bunch of protesters who were admittedly blocking the street, but a bunch of protesters, they drove into them. This is after the white supremacist neo-Nazis were there in the same city, and they were for the Unite the Right rally, right? We can just pull up the Unite the Right rally as well. The Unite the Right rally was the largest white supremacist grouping, I believe, in like a decade or more at the time that it happened. They were literally holding swastikas. They were literally screaming, "Jews will not replace us." They were doing extraordinarily, wildly inappropriate activities. And so, rightly, there were a bunch of protesters. And those protesters used the street when they protested, because that's what you do when you're a protester. And so like the legalization of running into people because they are protesting, and for context, this killed one person, injured 28 people, right? But they're trying to make what happened legal.
That's an issue.
That's
a very, very big issue.
I just don't. Okay. So here's my question.
Okay.
My question is not whether this is constitutionally valid. It's not. There's no real question about that. My question is not whether or not the people who are doing it are going to hell. They are. There's no question about that. My question is, there's a lot of questions that my question is not. Here's my question is. My question is this. How do we convince the conservatives that free speech is a thing that they have to care about?
Ooh, that's tricky.
Because they think they do. They use a lot of words like they think they care about free speech.
Right.
But they clearly
don't.
Only
care about free speech when it helps their side. Or it's about
but like, how do
side.
I make them actually care about it? And admittedly, like,
I don't think you
can. To be honest, the left-wingers aren't that good at free speech either. There are a lot of left-wingers who are like, I'm going to kick off Alex Jones from the platform. I don't like Alex Jones. And it's just like, no, fuck you. Free speech is free speech, my guy. You just have to let the people, like, I'm sorry. I know he's an asshole. But I'm sorry, free speech is very simple. If you exist in America, you get to say the things. Like, it's not that complicated, and it has to not be that complicated, because if it gets complicated, the government gets to be in control. And I do not like it when the government is in control, because the government is sometimes controlled by Donald J. Trump. And guess what? Donald J. Trump sucks. He really does.
Yeah.
He sucks a lot.
Right.
Not penis. He, like, the bad kind of sucks. You know?
Yeah. The bad kind.
The bad kind of sucks.
I genuinely don't think Because then you're dealing with like hypocrites, right? And I feel like it's hard to convince a hypocrite that they're a hypocrite.
Yeah.
It's hard because then they'll just say, no, that's not what I'm talking about. That's not the thing that I'm protecting. I'm protecting something else.
I'm protecting speech but like, okay, so what do they say? So they say, okay, I'm protecting speech on college campuses is one thing that they say, right?
Right.
They say, like, I'm protecting academic speech. So they'll say, like, I have to protect Ben Shapiro or Milo Yiannopoulos or, like, you know, Steven Crowder, all of whom are titans of academia, right? I have to protect these titans of academia, of right-wing free thought, right? Allowing them to come in to, like, you know, talk on the campus of fucking Wesleyan. Because if they're not allowed to be on the Wesleyan campus, like, free speech is over, right? Like, okay.
Yeah.
To be clear, I agree that Wesleyan, if a private club of I don't think that the Wesleyan school has any obligation as an institution. The school itself has any obligation whatsoever to allow anyone that they don't want to, as an institution, to come onto the campus. However, if an individual club does want to invite an individual speaker, I don't think that the campus has any right, as an institution, as the university, to stop that person from coming. That is my stance there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't think that is like the end-all be-all of the freedom of speech. It's a bit more broad than that, right? And like, I don't know how to make these people think that, like, okay, I like free speech. Also, maybe people shouldn't get fired from the NFL or from the MLB or from the MLS or like NBA or any of those whatever the fucks. I'm talking about the sports ball leagues for those of you who don't understand the sports balls.
The letters.
Yes, the sports ball letters, I apologize. For those of you who are not sports ball addicts, I really understand all of the sports. I'm incredibly invested in the smacky sport and the faux pas, as well as the sports ball of the fuchu, you know? I don't think there's any sport that you go fuchu. Maybe kayaking, but that's not a sports ball. Ignoring my statement, the point is that I think that they don't recognize what free speech is and that it is a more dynamic issue than that. Yeah.
Because it's free speech and the right to protest.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like, it's right there next to it. I just think they're kind of like ignoring that right to protest part, and are just like free speech. But yeah, it's free speech and the right to protest, and one other thing, right?
Yeah, I mean the freedom of religion, freedom of the press.
Yeah.
It's really important. It's the First Amendment. It's an important amendment.
Yeah.
If you were to rank the amendments, that one, hear me out, would be first. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be, and it is.
And
so I just think that they're kind of like cherry picking, like they do with everything. Really. Yeah. What they want to follow. They want to follow the free speech and the free religion, but not free protest.
They don't really want to follow the free religion. Let's clarify. Most of these people are Christ culters. Yeah. It's not like they want the Muslims to be allowed to like pray in public or some shit. That would be that would be cringy in their mind. Yeah, they're not a big fan of. But yeah.
Free religion so long as it's our religion.
Freedom of religion so long as it's ours. Freedom of speech so long as it's mine.
So long as it's ours. Yeah. And you don't get to protest.
No protest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't know how to because like there are a lot of
clearly we can't get them to read the Constitution because
of course not. No, it's very long.
Clearly they would.
One of my professors made me write the entire Constitution by hand. It was awful. I hated it so much. He's like, it's gonna get you like spiritually motivated as an American. Like, sweetheart, no. That is not. First of all, super culty and weird. I don't like that. I don't like whatever. But the point. Okay, I'm sorry. We have to be palatable. I'm trying to be palatable to the conservatives because conservatives have to watch this episode. It's very important that the conservatives watch this episode.
Do we? I don't think we have to.
No, I'm extraordinary. Houston, I am the most palatable.
We're palatable to the conservatives.
We are the most palatable show to the conservatives ever. We are so palatable. What we are, we are an umbrella show. The whole point of this show is to just gather everyone together and go, kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. You know what I'm saying? The whole point is just get us all together. We're going to be hippies. We're going to just drink some pot, smoke some alcohol. You know, it's going to be a great time.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
Okay. I just got to figure this out. There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way to say this.
I genuinely don't. I don't think
Because
there is.
the problem is there's so many young people who, I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that the Democrat, I shouldn't say the Democrats because a lot of them aren't Democrats, which is part of the problem. The left wing of the online universe, particularly
You're right.
YouTube, and Reddit and like 4chan and all that shit, but particularly YouTube and Twitter to a lesser extent, are very bad at our job. Right? Like we're just like profoundly bad. And
In terms of what?
In terms of actually convincing new young people to get on board and actually like become productive citizens of the economic climate. I shouldn't say economic, political rather, climate.
Right. Yeah.
We're just not good at it in a way that I think that like people like Ben Shapiro, people like Steven Crowder, people like Charlie Kirk are very good at transferring just liberal destroyed into like productive soldiers of the right.
Yeah.
And I need productive soldiers of the left, you know? The ideal for Quibbles Over Coffee is that we get to be this giant podcast and then we just have an army of quibblers, you know, just like quibbling around in the party ethos,
Getting into quibbles with people,
getting shit done, right, for the left, right? And I think that part of the reason the Republicans are doing so well is because they're able to transfer this like innate understanding that I think a lot of particularly young men have, which is a good understanding for people to have, that like free speech is really important and like you have to defend it. And then they frame themselves as the victim of free speech. And then because they're the victim of free speech, they're able to say, ha, you have to defend me. Even if you don't agree with me, you have to defend me. And then everyone defends them. And then they say, oh, now you're defending me. You're my fan. And all these kids are like, well, if I'm defending you, I guess you're your fan. No, you can defend people and not be their fan. Like, I don't understand, whatever. But that is their like strategy, right? And the defense against their strategy is to make us be the victims of the free speech. This is us, the victims of the attacks on free speech. When you legalize literal fucking murder like this shit, literal murder by literal neo-Nazis in places like Florida, they're intending to get it in places like Oklahoma. When you legalize this shit, okay, hear me out, that is the right wing attacking the First Amendment. That is the right wing literally killing people for free speech.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did we do it? Were we palatable? I think we were palatable. If you were a Republican, first of all, stop. But second of all, tell us in the comment section whether or not we were palatable to you. Any last thoughts before we end this episode?
Yeah, don't pass these laws.
Don't pass these laws. Also, courts, do your job to clarify.
Yeah.
Your job, just to clarify, is to make this, hear me out, not be a thing, because I know this is controversial. Your job, this is controversial, includes, this is controversial, defending, hear me out, the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States that you literally swore an oath to protect. That is my view.
Yeah.
It may be radical, but that is my view.
But like the issue though, just like one last thing, the issue with like courts, something has to happen for this to get brought up to court. You know, like someone has to be like, hey, this is bad.
Oh, the ACLU is all over this.
Is it all okay?
Yeah. The ACLU is all over this. To clarify, everyone needs to give money to the ACLU because the ACLU is the most important civil liberties organization in probably the history of the world, certainly the history of the United States. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then donate money and like and subscribe.
We adore all of you. Bye.